Our panel that's coming up is going to focus on reading words on paper rather than an electronic code on a computer. Just like being technology savvy, you have to be literate savvy. We have evidence that says students who are reading on grade level at 3rd grade do much better the rest of their school years, especially middle school and then into high school. So I'd like to first welcome Ralph Smith to the stage. He calls himself a recovering law professor, but since 2010, he's been the managing director of the campaign for grade level reading with the Annie E. Casey Foundation. He's made it his focus to ensure that children reach the critical developmental milestone of reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade, and he's a leader in this field. Carey Wright is a state superintendent of education in Mississippi. In 2013, Mississippi passed the 3rd grade Literacy Retention Promotion Act, a literacy gate for 3rd graders. The law put into effect in 2014 focuses on improving literacy skills beginning in kindergarten and extending through the 3rd grade. The act requires that every school district provide strong reading-intensive-based curriculum and interventions that students need and the supports that they need as well. Michelle Accardi is the Director of State Policy and Advocacy at the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. She's a nationally board certified teacher, and I think she's in Mississippi so much that she has a second home there. She spends a lot of time there working to put board certified teachers in various roles to help teachers and students working to achieve their goal of literacy by the 3rd grade. She does incredible work, and you'll enjoy hearing Michelle as well as all the other panelists. And Stacey Donaldson would be our moderator. She's from Jackson, Mississippi. She's a former state teacher of the year in Mississippi. She's also nationally board certified. She's a high school English teacher, and one of my favorite quotes from Stacey is that you must love children in order to reach them. So I look forward to this discussion, and please welcome our panelists to the stage. All your seats.
And greetings from Mississippi. It's my pleasure to moderate, my pleasure to moderate this session on literacy efforts in the state of Mississippi. I draw on my experience going into the classroom some 17 years ago, not having any experience as an alternately certified teacher. And I think back to, ironically, the experience as a 3rd grader who struggled reading to learn. We know that kids learn to read and they transition to reading to learn. And I didn't have the supports, but I was strong enough, thankfully, that I dug deep and kept going and found strategies. Thankfully now that we have communities around the nation that have recognized the importance of getting children on the path to success by helping them to become strong readers, we're going to center our discussion today around the ways that school systems, communities, and teachers can work together to ensure that every child is getting the literacy support that they need. Starting with you, Dr. Wright, Mississippi has made some significant changes in the ways that reading is being taught, assessed, and how teachers are being prepared and supported as literacy teachers. And you've seen some great results, good news. So can you tell us what's being done and why?
Sure. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. We're very proud of the work that's being done in Mississippi, and when our NAEP scores came out, and Mississippi was the only state in the nation that saw significant gains in both reading and math at 4th grade, that was great news for us. Not where we need to be, but certainly letting us know that we're heading in the right direction. We've done a lot to support our teachers through this. I think when One thing I can say is that we have really doubled down on the professional development that we've provided, and also the resources that we have pushed out to teachers. As you know, Mississippi is a local control kind of state, and when I first arrived, people were saying, well, we just let the districts do that kind of thing. But then as I was out talking to teachers, they're saying, look, send us whatever you can, because we could use it. So I think that has been a real focus of ours over the past couple of years, actually, and the amount of money that we're putting into that, I think, is significant. These fourth graders, the other thing that I think is important to know is that these fourth graders were the first group that had been taught our Mississippi College and Career Ready standards steadily over 4 years. So they had the benefit of strong teachers coming out, teaching strong standards, and raising the level of rigor. And so I think that has a lot to do with our successes as well. We mentioned the Literacy-Based Promotion Act that was passed in the legislature, and so now our little ones that get to third grade, if they're not able to pass a test that is administered to them, they have to be retained in third grade. My concern with the test is that the bar, I think, is too low. Right now, according to the legislation, they only have to pass it above the lowest achievement level, and that is not the same thing as proficiency. And so I've gone back to the legislature and asked them to raise that bar, because I feel that our children are just as capable as anybody else of reaching proficiency at the end of third grade. So that will give you some of the things that we've done, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
Okay, awesome. Ralph, the campaign for grade level reading is a major force in helping parents and communities find creative ways to build opportunities for literacy in every zip code, regardless of income. Can you tell us some of the ways that communities in the Mississippi Delta region and other parts of the country are connecting children with books and reading outside of the classroom?
Well, I am delighted to be here, and particularly to be here sitting next to Dr. Wright. I told her earlier that most chief education officers have to leave their state to have good things said about them. When I go to Mississippi, people are saying good things about her right at home. So I'm delighted to be here. The campaign for grade level reading really has focused a lot on what children need to succeed before they get to school, and that is they need to be ready. What children need to make sure they get to school, because chronic absence is a significant problem, and what children need in terms of supports during the summer to avoid the summer slide and summer learning loss. And doing that work, we've learned a lot. But one of the things we've learned is that there is a significant and growing number of children who are falling beyond the reach of school. These children are falling beyond the reach of schools because the same children who start out far behind are often the children who fall farther behind during the school year because they're missing too much school, and the children who lose even more ground over the summer. And this combination is really powerful and lethal for these children and their families. And so we talk about this as children who need a system of interventions and support that's 24/7, 365, and 2 generation. And by defining it as 24/7, 365, and 2 generation, what we know is that schools can't do it alone, that we really are going to need to bring to bear on the problem a whole lot of other things. And so we're really pushing to see public platforms involving public housing and public health, public libraries and museums, as well as public schools working with these families and students. And we're seeing across the country, we're seeing that happen. And I know Morgana Freeman is from Mississippi, is out there someplace. And what they're doing in the very small area of Mississippi, but really sending big messages, is figuring out how you mobilize the faith community, the civic community, the corporate community to join with schools and public housing and public health to really change what's happening for kids. And that's not happening just in Mississippi, but it's happening across the country. And many of us are looking at Mississippi, looking at the creative use of a statute that could have gone either way as a spur and a nudge to really good education practice. And I get a chance to say congratulations. I know it's not the progress that you wanted, but I think it really is moving in the right direction. It's a great start.
We're proud of our teachers, very proud of our teachers.
Well, we're thankful for what Dr. Wright has done in the state of Mississippi, but I'm also thankful for what National Board, the finances, the technology that you have poured into the state of Mississippi, the resources. Can you talk, Michelle, briefly about the grant that increases literacy rates, helps to increase literacy rates in Mississippi, and how National Board Certified teachers are working with children to meet their reading goals?
Absolutely. One of the things that we know from the research on students of board certified teachers is that children whose teachers are board certified will typically learn 1 to 2 months additional learning for every year they have a board certified teacher in the classroom. And a few years ago, that's right, a few years ago, Ron Thorpe, myself and Governor Bryant sat down and had a conversation about let's leverage the power of those board certified teachers and double down on those K through 3 classrooms and get board certified teachers in there working with the students. And with the support of the Kellogg Foundation, we have our Transforming Literacy Through Certification grant, which has really 2 parts to it. The first part is really immediate help for those students who've been identified in that 3rd grade reading test as being behind. And so in the summers, those children who have already failed to succeed on that test twice will go to a summer school that session is taught by a board certified teacher, but also observed by several teachers who are not board certified. And they're using the curriculums that are provided by the state, but they're working with these kids intensively. And this past summer, we had 5 sites throughout the state, and of the kids who participated, 79% went on to pass that 3rd grade reading gate and go on to 4th grade the next year. More importantly, the teachers who were observing went back to their classrooms in the fall with a lot more tools in their box to be able to help children who were also challenged by literacy. With this, we've been able to get so much support from Dr. Wright, from the foundations, from the board certified teachers, the 6 world-class teaching projects. I know y'all are out there somewhere. The 6 world-class teaching projects, which is legislatively funded in Mississippi to recruit and support teachers through the board certification process. And we've got all of them coming together, and we even have tremendous support from Governor Bryant. And very recently, he has released a video that we're going to show where Governor Bryant has a message for all of the teachers in Mississippi.
Every child in Mississippi deserves a great education, and Mississippi's board-certified teachers are doing important work to make it happen. They're helping our youngest learners stay on track to become strong leaders by the 3rd grade, a critical milestone for future success in school. Their leadership in classrooms across our state is preparing more and more Mississippi students for success in college or the career of their choice. I'm proud of the fact that Mississippi has one of the highest rates of national board-certified teachers in the nation. But we can do better. I challenge all Mississippi teachers to pursue national board certification. Take advantage of the world-class teaching project, which offers invaluable mentoring and support. Start the journey today by learning more about becoming a national board certified teacher. Together, we can ensure a better, brighter future for our state and its children.
I'm also going to say that's a great message to have put out, just as the legislature is considering a critical needs bonus, so Mississippi's board certified teachers who work in high needs schools could get an even higher bonus. I know, let's hear it for the, pay the teachers, teach the babies. I'm all about it.
So am I. Dr. Wright, ESSA and other factors afford new opportunities for states and districts. How do you see Mississippi raising the bar even higher in terms of how you prepare and support teachers working in those K-3 classrooms?
Well, this is a good opportunity for us, and we've already got a team in place that's working on this very issue. You know, something that I'm very passionate about is building the capacity of teachers. You know, I think that teachers come into school each and every day wanting to do the very, very best that they can. And some universities prepare them better than others to do just that. So when they arrive, and I know that I've got my little ones that are in that classroom in front of them, we want to be able to provide the kinds of professional development that's needed, but we also need to be engaging our families. You know, our families play a critical role in this, and one of the things that we did for the first time ever, we held regional meetings around the state to bring families and parents in to let them know not only just about the act, but what can they be doing at home to help their children. Some parents, as I've said before, know how to navigate the system, and some do not, but need that help in order to know how can we get the help that they need at home. But it's a very focused effort in our state. The focus on literacy is like no other. And I've said to folks in the whole department really has been reorganized over the past 2 years to really drive this work. And I've said to them, you need to see yourself in this work. And I've also reached out and involved teachers on any task force that we have put together. Teacher leaders cannot be understated, overstated. We need teacher leaders to step up and take active roles in our communities as well as in the classroom. We've had a district that put books in a barbershop. And then we trained the barbers on how do you ask the kinds of questions about the books that they're reading. And the barbers were so excited, and they've got these big boxes of books. And it was just delightful to see the smiles on their faces when we recognized them at the board, because they feel like they now are giving back to the community, but they've got some skills with which to do that that they weren't planning on when the year started. But I think that we have got to invest in our teachers and our principals. Let me also say that. It's teachers and principals in our schools that make this happen each and every day. They are the boots on the ground, and we need to be listening to them, and we need to get from them, what is it that you need to be a better teacher or a better administrator? We've trained over 25,000 principals and teachers in our state. And not only with a foundational skills in reading, and that was another piece I failed to mention, but more importantly, as the person who's responsible for that fiscal note on that training, we reached out to Florida State at REL Southeast and said, we need you to validate that this training is working. We need somebody to come in and show us in an evaluation, is what we're teaching our teachers, the art and science of teaching children to read, showing up in the classroom. So they came in and videotaped teachers all across our state, and they came back and they said, this is powerful. What you are teaching your teachers is showing up in the classroom, and that is going to benefit our little ones that come to school each and every day. So for me, that was important to know, to validate, to continue with that kind of professional development.
Right. Well, Dr. Wright, as a follow-up, you may have touched on this already somewhat. How can the many educators we have in the audience best support efforts in their states and maybe even at the state level?
Well, the one thing that I would say that is critical is set the highest expectations you can for your children and your students. Children can and will do what you tell them, and support them in what they can and will do. If you keep passing those positive messages, we heard it at the plenary this morning, it's all about their assets. Children come to school every day with their assets. And so what we need to do is capitalize on those and believe that children can do that. A concern of mine, we talked about the computer science AP. AP classes are not where they need to be in Mississippi, and that's been a concern of mine because I think we're limiting our children. So set those high expectations, offer them the opportunities, as many opportunities as you possibly can in your classrooms and in your districts, and think ahead. This is the presentation you just saw. Think ahead. Show them what's possible. For some of the children in our state, they've never been out of that little teeny area of the state. So for them to know what's possible, it's going to take a really good teacher bringing that in and showing them what's possible. When we administered our kindergarten readiness assessment this past fall, we had 2 out of every 3 children coming to school showing that they were not ready for kindergarten. And our kindergarten teachers did not give up. We had the cut score that those children had to score was at 530. The average in the state was at 501. And when they post-tested those children in kindergarten, the average state score was 680. Yeah, right on, absolutely. But that's a belief in children, and that's, I think, where I come from, is like, we've got to believe that these children are just as capable as any other child in the state of excelling and doing even greater things than we ever anticipated that they could do.
I'm a witness, they are. Ralph, it's so important that children are being supported in literacy skills during the time they're in school as much as the time that they are out of school. How can educators help connect families and communities with literacy efforts? What have you seen that really helps even the most challenged communities? And can you tell us one thing the teacher can do starting Monday?
Starting Monday.
Starting Monday.
Okay.
Hit the ground.
5 years ago, my very first trip to this teaching and learning conference, Ron Thorpe arranged for us to have a couple of opportunities with focus groups with teachers, board certified teachers. And we put this question to them. Assume quality teaching in every classroom, strong school leadership, really good pedagogy and powerful curriculum. Will that be enough for the most vulnerable children? It was absolutely unanimous. The answer was no, it's not enough. That we need to make sure that a number of things happen, but two things emerged from that. Those two things have really stuck with us and been validated by the work over the last 5 years. One, we need those children to be healthy. We've got to pay attention to health. Too many children show up with unrecognized, untreated, undiagnosed social emotional challenges, developmental delays, physical health impairments. Too many can't see the board, can't hear the instruction. Teachers were unanimous that we needed to pay attention to the health of the kids who were coming to the classroom. But the other thing that came out, and I must admit that everybody was struggling with this, but there was really the absolute certainty that we all had to figure out the parent challenge. Absolutely. That we had to figure out how to create strong, effective partnerships between classroom teachers and parents, between the school and the home. And what we say, and what my colleague Yoli Flores, who many of you have had an opportunity to hear, what we say is there may be no silver bullet, no magic potion, but there is a secret sauce. And the secret sauce is parents succeeding. And what we are seeing happening across the country is that message is getting through. And when I saw Dr. Wright today, the first thing she began to tell me about were these, across the country, across Mississippi, these regional meetings with parents. And what this tells me is that the advice we got from the teachers, some of whom may be in this room, is absolutely on point. That the big challenge we have is to build a powerful partnership between the home and the school, between the teacher and the parent, and we've got some great evidence in a number of places. Those of you who are participating in teacher-parent partnerships in the classroom, those of you who are participating in teacher home visits, know that that really is where we start. And so on Monday, the challenge for teachers is to reach out to parents where you find them, including and especially where they live. Reach out to parents through the Y, through the Boys and Girls Clubs, through the churches and synagogues and mosques, where people go to pray, and try to find a way for us all to begin helping parents to imagine parents envisioning bold goals for their children, and then recruiting us to help them achieve those goals. And most importantly, on Monday, find some way to celebrate a parent. Not just for a big success, but for a small success. Because if we can help parents to envision goals, assist them in achieving those goals, and join with them in celebrating, we can change the dynamic and create a new reality that all of us know, however problematic, all of us know that we're not going to succeed for the most vulnerable children unless we succeed in solving the parent challenge and having those parents as partners. So on Monday, go find a parent. I'm not telling you go hug a parent, but go celebrate a parent and say, thank you for giving us the honor and privilege of working with you with your kid. Tell us how we could do better. And teachers who do that know. They know that those parents will be so taken aback and so moved and so encouraged that they will have a partner for life. And that kid is going to be the beneficiary. So that's the Monday assignment. Go find a parent, say hello, and celebrate.
Yep, absolutely. Good advice. Michelle, the National Board is well known for working with accomplished teachers and teacher leaders. Can you tell us about any work that would help prepare young teachers to be ready to support early childhood literacy?
Absolutely. Across the country, the National Board has been working with pre-service teachers as well as early career teachers using our Atlas case library, which I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that in just a minute, but also partnering these young teachers with board-certified teachers to serve as mentors. And in Mississippi, we're doing that at 6 of the public universities through the World Class Teaching Project. And we've been doing this through a grant with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for 3 years. And we're seeing some of the young teachers who have been mentored by board-certified teachers are now eligible for board certification and are in fact candidates for board certification this coming cycle. And so it really opens up their eyes to the possibilities. They learn that accomplished teachers know their students, that accomplished teachers are members of learning communities that include those parents. And so it really sets them up for success in these very challenging communities, whether they're working in the Choctaw schools, whether they're working in Jackson, all across the state. They're prepared, and when they come back, and some of y'all may have been better first-year teachers than I was, but there were those questions that you don't really want to go ask the principal. You have a national board mentor that you can go to and say, okay, I cannot get the children to transition from small groups or whatever it is, and you've got that, a buddy, and we all need a buddy, and you have that national board mentor to help them through as they move from pre-service early career into teacher leadership. And it also establishes for them the fact that they are going to be the teacher leaders. They're going to be the ones setting the benchmarks for their teaching community as they go forward. And it's been tremendous to watch this start to spread through the state, and the power and the impact that it's had on teacher retention and these literacy scores. My Mississippi relatives would say we're raising them right. And that's how we're working with these young teachers is this is the world that they know is reaching every single child. And those of you who follow me on Twitter, I frequently will tweet every child in every zip code. And I'm dead serious about that. And one of the other pockets of work that I do is with our Bureau of Indian Education schools. And some of you may have never even heard of the Bureau of Indian Education, but there we go. I see you out there, Mia. The Bureau of Indian Education has 183 schools in tribal communities around the country in 23 different states, including in Mississippi. And our Mississippi NBCTs from the World Class Teaching Project at Mississippi State, actually, Hale State, they're going out there. I know I'm shameless. They're out there working with those teachers, and we have 50 candidates from the Choctaw tribal community going through board certification this year. So that's pretty remarkable. Wait, it gets even better. When we look at the whole Bureau of Indian Education, they have about just under 4,000 teachers. We've got 10% of their teachers engaged in board certification across the country. It's going to make a powerful difference for children who almost never see teachers who look like them. And so we're working on that. Part of all that work, and I'm bringing it around, Stacey, I see you looking at me. What we're using is a powerful way to reach teachers, and especially these early career teachers, And we're working with our Atlas case library, and we've had an I3 grant, we're bringing the video pieces and also the reflective analysis of board-certified teachers, very high-scoring ones, so don't be looking for my video in there. It's just true. And we've put these in a digital searchable library. So imagine you're preparing for professional development, and you can say, I'd like to see a second grade class working in small groups in a Title I setting in a rural area. And up will pop the case along with the reflective analysis, the student work pieces, so that a young teacher, or even some older teachers, can really get and engage in this work at any hour of the day when they're in their classes. It's an amazing resource, thousands of these cases. We've got a little video that we've run from some of the young teachers that we've been working with, and we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what they have to say about their experience working with the Atlas Library.
To become an accomplished teacher, you need to see an accomplished teacher. So not only does Atlas provide that opportunity for our students to see real teachers in the classroom, but it also enables them to get into the mind of an accomplished teacher.
The founding mission of the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards is to advance the quality of teaching and learning. The National Board has a moral obligation to share the expertise of board-certified teachers with the profession at large.
Atlas is a video library that educational program providers can utilize with their pre-service candidates to give them a realistic view of authentic teaching provided by highly accomplished teachers.
Northwestern is very proud of their teacher preparation faculty. Our nationally board certified teachers help our candidates move from being students to teachers and then accomplished teachers.
As a National Board Certified teacher myself, I present being an educator to my students as being an accomplished teacher. And so the strategies we look at, the kind of practice we look at is with that end in mind of what is expected for a teacher to know and be able to do on that level.
We were founded as a state normal school to produce educators. And for 131 years, we've produced what we think are some of the best teachers in the country.
I think one of the reasons why Northwestern's teacher education programs is set apart from that of others is no doubt our rich historical roots in teacher education.
We very much want to build upon our legacy of high-quality teacher preparation and move ever forward using technology and other innovative resources to help us best prepare the next generation of teachers.
Atlas allows us to provide our students and future teachers with access to nationally board certified teachers, so they're learning from the best, learning from those who have had a diverse array of experiences.
It's important to me that my students see that kind of instruction because those are the models I want them to follow for accomplished teaching. Teachers who have thought about every part of their practice, have reflected on the planning to delivery and what went wrong as well as what went right in the lesson, and they've addressed it.
I think it was cool to see how the teacher thought the lesson went compared to how I thought the lesson went, or to see what the specific details were, because maybe I didn't catch something that they did or that something the students did.
Certainly in the last 5 or 6 years, there has been a great deal of change at the national level and the state level in national standards. And we have found resources such as Atlas help us align what's happening in our classrooms with these new national standards.
By using the Atlas Library, my students are able to see teachers teaching to the standards that they are required to address in their classroom. It gives them that authentic view of the things that we are discussing in class.
Our professor had set up an Atlas account for us and told us that we could get Some of our field experience required hours through Atlas by watching these videos. We're always taught, use these strategies, literature circles, fish bowls, but on Atlas, I could see and experience all of these videos and watching teachers actually using these strategies and knowing they do actually work.
Atlas allows us to bring in a whole cadre of experts that our students can learn from. Our students can watch, they can emulate, and they can get hands-on lessons in a virtual sense at a very affordable price.
For me, it's not just about making sure that they're able to appropriately address the standards or manage their classroom. I want them to stay in this profession, and I want them to continue striving for excellence. And so, because Atlas offers, in addition to the teaching videos, the reflection that takes place after teaching, that helps our candidates to see that an accomplished teacher never arrives. There is no ceiling. And when you do reach the ceiling, you just tear the roof off of the house and you reach for the sky.
So we're not just going to tear the roof off and reach for the sky. We're going to teach our children how to code so that they can shoot for the stars. I know. See, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you should, because I'm hilarious. In any event, if you want to learn more about Atlas and how it might work for your community, they're having a session on Balcony B right after this plenary. It's really an amazing tool, and Dr. Wright's been really great about getting it invested in their community. So it's taken it to the next level.
Sure. And we have been using Atlas to help pre-service teachers, early career teachers, an awesome teaching tool.
I'm also going to say, as a special education teacher, the Atlas team sometimes locks, I know special ed, the Atlas team sometimes locks me out, because if you want to start your day off right, pull up some videos of some preschool special education classrooms and watch those babies learning. And, you know, but Peggy likes me to do some other things, so they don't let me play Atlas all the time. So.
Well, I'd like to thank our panel for such rich insight and just ask you if you have anything else to add. Any final words?
I was going to just say one thing, you know, about teachers and the power of teachers, because I hope you appreciate how powerful you really are in the lives of children, because these are children that are coming to you, looking up to you. And the other thing I would say, in making a comment about Ralph's stressing the importance of family, is don't ever assume that simply because your parents may not be coming to parent night, or your parents you're having difficulty getting them in, that they're not, they don't want what's best for their children. I was a principal, I was a principal for a number of years in a very low income area. And you know, I would hear teachers say, well, they don't even show up. And I said, well, have you reached out to them to find out why? And you'd hear stories about parents really literally working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. So for them, it was losing money if they came in. But they would always say, but let me know what I can do to help at home. And so we started sending things home, learning centers. I mean, all of you have those in your classrooms. And so we found that some of our most wonderful parents who just felt they were so able to contribute at home by creating these things at home and then sending them back in the classroom. So I guess I would just say that, set the high expectations, get your parents involved, however that might be, and be advocates for your children. I had a teacher today say to me, I have to be the voice for my children because sometimes my children don't have that voice. And so I urge you to continue being that voice for children.
I know that there's teachers out there from Florida, Iowa, Colorado, Nevada, and 14 other states that have retention laws. And I know that you've heard the back and forth, you've heard the debate that often generates a lot of heat, but not a light. I think it's really important to look at the Mississippi story because the Mississippi story suggests that the controversy over the law is not half as important as what you do once you get it. And In Mississippi, you had a governor that pushed for this, but a governor that listened really carefully and listened to Ron Thorpe, and a governor who you heard today understood that if he was going to support this law, he had to support quality teaching. And without this law, I'm not sure the governor would be where he is, but he's there because of this law. So all across the country, whenever these things come up, teachers should be present, visible, vocal, saying, one, we can't do it alone. We've got to start early, and we've got to do it together. And two, quality teaching must be the centerpiece, because if we can get that message across, those laws, rather than simply being controversial, could end up being really valuable and really helpful for kids across the country, as we're seeing it happen in Mississippi. So when you go back home, tell the governor he done good.
I will.
All right. Thanks so much. And thank you for your attention. We appreciate it. I don't know if it's technically somewhere. It's the boss lady.
I have the bulb.
All right. There you go.
But first, I'd like to thank all the panelists. Give them another hand. Everything that we've seen here at the Teaching and Learning Conference, the plenaries, all of the issues that have been discussed were incredible. Many of us have heard conversations that we don't get to normally hear in our normal districts or states. Experts like what you've just seen here, what you saw on the previous panel, what you saw yesterday. Just thank you so much for taking the time out to be here, to be a part of this profession, and to want to work together as a profession so that we continue to do what's right for children. So there's a couple of workshops after this, and I guarantee you want to see this last plenary. So with that said, I will draw some number out of here. It doesn't have a name on it, so I can't read mine. Okay. I'm going to read the last four. 6349. 6349. Okay.
Mine is in my purse.
All right, I'll keep reading. 5355.
It's like bingo.
5355. Okay. 5164.
Yes. All right.
It's like bingo.
That's right.
Come on up.
Yeah.
Okay, she now has deluxe accommodations for two at Georgetown.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, see you in the next plenary. Marvelous. Thank you, guys. Thank you.